You're watching Euronews now. I'm Takumbo Salako with your top stories. Russia says more than 1,000 Ukrainian troops have surrendered in the besieged city of Mariupol, but Kyiv says it has no information about the claims. After calling Vladimir Putin a war criminal, the US President Joe Biden has now accused Russia of committing genocide. We'll have the latest. And as Finland and Sweden begin talks on joining NATO, we'll examine what the Nordic neighbours can bring to the alliance.
Up to 75% of the city of Mariupol is thought to have been destroyed, and around 22,000 civilians may have died in the besieged city, according to its mayor. Thousands have managed to leave. Those who remain are still being shelled. Meanwhile, Putin's troops are getting into position for what will be the battle for Ukraine's eastern Donbass region. Even though peace talks have been continuing via video link, President Vladimir Putin has dismissed them, saying they've stalled. News that Russian oligarch Viktor Medvedchuk, Putin's closest ally in Ukraine, had been captured has prompted President Zelensky to propose a prisoner swap. Medvedchuk is leader of Ukraine's opposition Platform for Life party.
So, if Medvedchuk chose a military uniform for himself, he falls under the rules of the wartime. I propose to Russia to exchange your guy with our men and women in Russian captivity. That's why it's important that our law enforcement and military agencies consider this possibility as well.
Zelensky also admitted the impossibility of conducting a full investigation into claims that a poisonous substance may or may not have been dropped on Ukraine troops in Mariupol. Meanwhile, the World Bank is planning financial support to Ukraine worth €1.4 billion to help keep critical services running. The bank said the funds would be used to support the continuation of key government services, including wages for hospital workers, pensions for the elderly, and social programs for vulnerable people.
Russia's GDP could suffer its biggest fall since the years following the end of the USSR, warned Russia's top auditor Alexei Kudrin. The World Bank predicted that the country's economy could shrink by more than 11% this year. The impact of inflation is felt on food prices. Pasta, for example, went up by 25% and fruit and vegetables by 35%, according to Rosstat. And the State Duma on Monday proposed to order the transfer of businesses of foreign companies that are leaving Russia to the State Development Bank WEB, giving the owners of such firms the option to resume their operations in Russia or sell businesses within 3 months. Meanwhile, state TV shows Russian businessmen, clothes makers, for example, who say that this is the time of opportunities as there are no more popular Western brands to compete with. And this is in fact what the Kremlin says, explaining how sanctions eventually will make Russia as strong as ever. Galina Polonskaya, Euronews from Paris.
US President Joe Biden has accused Russia of committing genocide in Ukraine, a term rarely used by US presidents because it has potential legal implications. Such crimes, if verified, can require members of the UN to intervene.
Yes, I called it genocide because it's become clearer and clearer that Putin is just trying to wipe out the idea of even being able to be a Ukrainian. And the evidence is mounting. It's different than it was last week. The more evidence is coming out of literally the horrible things that the Russians have done in Ukraine. And we're going to only learn more and more about the devastation. And we'll let the lawyers decide internationally whether or not it qualifies, but it sure seems that way to me.
In Ukraine, the port city of Mariupol has been under siege by Russian forces for 40 days. And according to its mayor, Russia has blocked humanitarian convoys out of the city. He also claims 90% of its homes have been destroyed. Despite growing condemnation, Russian President Vladimir Putin has vowed to continue his country's offensive, and that it would not end until its goals are fulfilled. Putin has not yet responded to Biden's accusation.
Finland is set to announce an historic white paper report about applying to join NATO as a deterrent against Russian aggression. The Nordic nation of 5.5 million has traditionally been military non-aligned, in part to avoid provoking its eastern neighbour, with which it shares a 1,300-kilometre border. But Russia's invasion of Ukraine saw public support for joining NATO double from 30 to 60%, according to a series of polls. Sweden is also considering following Finland in its pursuit of membership. Traditionally against NATO also, a recent survey showed that more than half of Swedes are now in favour of joining the alliance. Russia has spoken out against Finland and Sweden from joining, warning the move would not bring stability to Europe. Finland, however, does seem keen to push through with its intentions. It is hoping they can have the paperwork ready in time for June's NATO summit in Madrid.
Police in New York are trying to locate the renter of an abandoned van found near the scene of Tuesday's rush hour shooting on the city's subway. The driver is said to be a person of interest, having found the key to the vehicle and a credit card at the metro station. 23 people were injured when the suspect detonated 2 smoke grenades and opened fire at Brooklyn's 36th Street station shortly before 8:30 local time. The attacker fled the scene.
The last time there was a mass shooting on our subway system, I believe it was 1984. So I don't want to act as if and treat this as a normal experience on our subway. This is a rarity, but one incident like this is one too many.
When I came out, I saw a cloud of smoke and I saw people in chaos laying on the floor, 3 people on the floor, and it automatically told me to run. So I ran out and I just got out the train station.
It's definitely scary that happened, knowing that, people got hurt in the train. So it was definitely scary.
Police found a semi-automatic handgun, a hatchet, and a variety of incendiary devices at the scene. The motivation for the attack is yet unknown. All the victims are expected to survive.
Atletico Madrid will be looking to overcome a 1-goal deficit as they host Manchester City in their second leg quarter-final of the Champions League. João Felix missed their La Liga defeat against Mallorca on Saturday, but is expected back this evening. Often a stubborn thorn in the opposition, Atletico will be bidding on past comebacks to get them out of jail.
We are facing a team who play really well, with really good pace and positioning, very fast transitions and making the most of small spaces. But we have hope in what we can create. I think that what we accomplished in the past match gives us hope.
A Kevin De Bruyne strike put Pep Guardiola's side in the lead at the Etihad last week, and a semi-final with Real Madrid now awaits the winner of tonight's match. City holds some injury woes at the back, with Fernandinho potentially being called upon to drop into defence as Ruben Dias is ruled out of action. In Wednesday's other quarter-final, Liverpool are looking to hold off a 3-1 lead against Benfica at Anfield. The Lisbon side asked questions of Liverpool's defence in the first leg, but couldn't capitalise on their chances. The winners of this game will play Villarreal in the semi-finals.
Still lots more news and analysis to come. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back in a few moments.